Hi, I'm Sheryl Steinruck. I'm a member of the Tolowa Nation. We're in my home here on South Indian Road on the Tolowa Reservation. I've been wanting to share my whole concept of why I'm making masks during this COVID-19 crisis. I've gone through 5 different patterns, and I finally had come down with this particular one. And hopefully today I'll be able to take you through the steps of what I've done to create these masks and how to make them fit people as I feel is important. Part of the reason why I'm really into making masks is I believe every person needs to be protected in the United States from the COVID-19 germs. And just a little bit of background, I'm a germaphobe. It started when I was 8 years old. My family, we all contracted tuberculosis. Actually, it was 4 out of 6 of us. And the 4 of us had to go to live in a sanitarium in Redding, California. And during that time, we stayed there from 4 months to 9 months to a year, depending upon who it was and how bad our TB was. Well, once we got out of the sanitarium and came home, we had to go to the Delaware County Infirmary hospital in there and get a shot once a week in our butt, alternating back and forth. And we had to have that for 52 weeks, a whole year. And then following that for a whole year, we had to take INH pills. And so for me, I became very aware of germs in terms of how to wash dishes, how to take care of surfaces, all those kinds of things. So I've known all my life that regardless if you can see a germ or not, it can kill you. And one of the things that we always had as a family was tonsillitis. And back in the day, we didn't get tonsils taken out. You had to be near dying before you went to the doctor. Back in the day, we didn't have insurance or anything like that. And so for me, when we started learning about COVID-19, realizing that we had to wear masks, then I went ahead and started going through my material. I found a bunch of stuff that I'd had for a long time to either make blankets, aprons, different kind of things that I had accumulated material for over the years because I've been sewing since I was about 20. And so I decided to go ahead and get all that stuff together. I went through 5 different mask patterns. This one here in particular, I just make it out of cotton blend now. Inside it has a non-woven fusible material that I prefer to use, lightweight, medium weight. And that gets ironed into the inside. So it's actually 3 layers. You've got the outer layer, of the material on the outside, and you've got the woven material on the inside. And so one of the things that I found out from the, it's called the fabric patch. And the owner of the store has been making them out of the state of Washington for over a year. She has made over 162,000 masks. And they donated them to the first responders, hospitals, nurses. And one of the things that we have found out is they have to be washable, wearable, breathable, and effective. So what happens when you put this non-woven material in the center, then it keeps the COVID-19 germ from coming into your body and from you if you have been exposed to it, infecting other people. So it works quite well. Our grandson took his lighter and put a mask on. He lit his lighter and tried to blow the flame. It didn't even move. So that tells you that it's effective. Now, one of the things that's important is the fit. And so this is one that I have found that works quite well. I wear glasses. And so as an example, I'll put this one on. It's a 4.75. They come in up to 6 sizes. And what we do is we put a metal piece here in the nose bridge, and it measures around your ears and around your face. And so once you get it on, this is kind of like for a smaller person. My elastic is longer. But you can press it around your face like this. And then that way, when you go to put your glasses on, hopefully they don't steam up. The other ones I had causes to steam up on my glasses, and I didn't like that. If say you have to wear your mask for a long period of time, what I do if I'm going shopping at Walmart or whatever, going to a meeting, I kind of open up the bottom down here to breathe. It's not effective to lower it below your nose or put it above your head or wear it around your neck. It doesn't work. So it has to be on your face, and it has to be one that will fit as snug to your face as possible. And so what I've done is I've gone ahead and put together, a pattern that I try on people, and then we measure from here down to here for the length of the elastic. And one of the things that I found was that getting the smaller elastic, this is what you want to do when you take them off, you don't touch it, is you want to get a thin elastic. The elastic I had in stock at the time I started making these was 1/4 inch, and it's just too thick, especially for someone who wears sunglasses or wears glasses. It really hurts your ear after a while. And so you don't want anyone taking it off if they don't need to. So you want it to be as comfortable as possible. And initially I started making them with flannel on the inside, but it proved to be way too hot. My family members said, "Oh, this is too hot, I can't breathe." And so yes, that's why I've gone through different kinds of material, doing different things. It's quite a lengthy process to make a mask. And first you have to get your materials pre-washed and ironed, and I use the pattern pieces of whatever size it is you're going to be wearing or making, and then you cut them out, and then you have to iron the non-woven material. It's fusible on the inside, and I can show you that in a minute. We can go ahead and I'll move over to the ironing board and we'll show you that process too. It's very old school. My sewing machine I have is a Kenmore. It's probably 20-30 years old. I've had it since I don't know who knows when. And all you need to make a mask is forward-backward stitch. There's no zigzag, there's no buttonholing, there's no nothing. It's just simple. And so one of the processes that we go through is measuring the right size, cutting out the pattern pieces, and then sewing them together, sort of in a process of getting them so that they work well. Once you get your pattern pieces sewn together, then you notch this. And the reason why you notch it is because it's a curve. If you don't notch this, it will not open. And you don't want that. You want your mask to be able to open and fit your face. So that's why you have to do that. And once you get the pieces sewn together, which I'm doing now, there is another piece that goes in, and this here is what we've gotten online. It works quite well. They're metal strips. They have an adhesive here that you can peel this away, and then it sticks inside real well before you sew it together as far as the final stage. And that goes in the inside in here. And then once you get the nose piece in there, which is like a little casing in itself, then the rest is just top stitched around the edge and goes clear around to this side. And voila, there's your mask. Okay, so we're at the ironing board. One of the things that's important to recognize is that you need to put your iron clear up on linen, the highest. Make sure that it's on no steam. This is just the old-fashioned way of attaching interfacing if you were sewing a shirt that needed interfacing stiffening in this collar or the sleeves or whatever you might be making. So what you're doing is you're taking and laying your material face down, so it would be right there, and you're laying your non-woven material that's fusible on top. You just take your like say an old flowered dishcloth, dish rag, dish towel. You lay it right over the top and make sure you don't move it, so you don't want to move that piece off of there. And once your iron is hot, you just hold it down there for the 10 seconds or so. That's just the old-fashioned way of doing this. And then you just go ahead and you fuse this non-woven material onto the wrong side of the fabric. And just let it glue on there. I always flip it over, and I always like to iron this side, and both of these. I'm just real that way. I'm very OCD. Okay, so that's all the process of ironing this in. So now once you get that together, say if you've misaligned a little bit of your interfacing, you can trim that off. But then you go ahead and you put your right sides together. You always are going to be sewing with your right sides together, because then you're going to open this up and show the printed part on the inside. So you have your four pieces of material now with the woven material on the inside, and we'll go back to the sewing machine. One of the things that I wanted to show you before I get started sewing this other mask together is this is a really handy tool to have. And based upon the length of your elastic from here to here, it can be anywhere from 5 inches, 5.5 inches to 6 inches. And for people who have broader faces, even longer. And that's why it's real important to get that right length so that it fits that individual. So as you can see here, I've cut this elastic right here. This is a nice spool of elastic that we got. It came from China, and when we had the embargo on China, this sat somewhere for 3 weeks and finally got to me. But ever since then, I've been using it. I really like it a lot. So what I've done is this is a 5.25 size, and it takes a 6-inch piece of elastic around the ear. That's the measurement. So what you do is you cut your elastic 7 inches long. You always add 1 inch to everything, and then that way I'll show you when we get to that point of why you have to have it an inch longer. So once you get your everything set up, I always keep these together because this goes to this particular mask. It's going to a particular individual, so I want to make sure it fits them. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to show you how to put these pieces together. So what I've done is I've matched all the curves and everything. I've sewn the 2 pieces together I showed you at the ironing board. And so now we're going to sew these together here, and then I'll show you what we do next. One of the things important to remember is that you don't want to be poking holes into this part of the mask whatsoever, because this is the part that's going to be blocking or keeping in the germs. And so if you poke holes into it, what happens? It'll pass through the hole. Oops. Now, because I have put the elastic on the inside already, I have to back stitch over the end so it doesn't pull out. That's why you make your elastic an inch longer, because you're sewing it inside of this edge. Okay, now I always like to leave an opening at the bottom because we're going to be turning this right side out in a minute. So then what you do once you have sewn this together is that you then take your scissors, and you have to cut the curves and cut the corners. So what you do is you just go ahead and you clip it. Clip the corners, and so that way when you get ready to turn it right side out, then it's going to not bunch up. And so this is kind of takes some practice. Just for some people, I've been doing this for so many years, it's fine for me. It's an old, if you've been sewing for a while, you know what I'm talking about. Those of you that haven't, it's a new experience. It's actually a fun hobby to see things that you can make with your own hands. I used to sew our children's Christmas clothes. Our daughter and son wore the same pattern print on their shirts and dresses, and I thought it was cute. But of course, they didn't, and that's okay. So then we just go ahead and finish all this, and then what we're going to do once we clip all these curves is we're going to turn it right side out now. So then what you do is you take this and you turn it right side out. So what I've done on the inside here is I've already put in the elastic. And what you want to do now is you take and pull this, punch out these corners with this. You can get a special tool you can buy at the fabric store, but you don't really have to. Just use your scissors and just push out these corners. And now the one thing about this elastic is you don't want to get it hot. Say you wash your mask by hand, you must do that with this particular pattern because it has the metal piece in it. I don't recommend putting it in the wash machine because it will ruin your metal piece. But when we get ready to put the metal piece in here, I always like to make sure that it's nice and flat here. Now, one of the things I like to do is have the top stitching on the side where the fusible material is, non-woven fusible material. So I always put this on the outside that I'll be sewing. And I like to go ahead and keep that nice and flat. You can just do this with your hands. If you're OCD, like some people, you might want to iron it, but I'm not. I'm mass producing these supposed to be, so I can't take the time to do something like that. Now what you want to do is this handy ruler I was showing you. This nose piece is a little over 3 inches long. So what you want to do is you take the half measure of this, and what you're going to do, which is about 1 3/4, I put a little bit more. So here from this seam, you're going to measure over 1 1/4 inches, and right here is where you're going to make a stitch. And what you're going to do basically is make a casing for the metal nose piece. And what I'll do, I'm going to show you this real quick on this one. Let's see. That's white. Doesn't show up well. This one might not either. But what I'm going to do is show you what I'm going to make right now is this little line right here. And that's going to be where the ends of the nose piece are. Very important because you don't want your nose piece slipping. You want it to stay right close to where it is so the person wearing it can have it fit their own nose bridge. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this and stitch. Move this out of the way. I don't want to drop that on the floor. And what I want you to do is to put it on the outside of the straight pin. You want to actually have enough room in there. You can push that out with your fingernail. Take your needle out of there, your straight pin I meant. Oh, come on. I got these short pins. I'm not happy with them. Okay, so you're just going to go ahead and, where's my thread? Sorry, folks. Okay. You're going to go forward and backward just a little. Go ahead and cut that thread. So the other side as well. Yeah, I'm gonna buy 1 1/4 next time. These are inch. My fingers are too chubby for that. Okay. All right, so once you've made your casing, then this comes the tricky part. This is the part that can frustrate you, but since I've been doing it for a while, I don't get frustrated anymore. So what you're going to do now is you're going to take your nose piece, and like I said, it has this little adhesive here on the inside. The hardest part for me as I get older is doing these kind of little things. It drives me crazy. But I have to pull this off of here, and once I get it moving here, I'll take that off. Oh, come on, Sheryl. Here it comes. It's on there pretty tight. I say the Chinese people are pretty smart doing stuff like this. I don't know how they make them, but I'm sure glad they do. Okay, let's see here. Well, let's see here. This one's starting to come loose, and plus my my nails are so short. Okay, so we take this off. Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn this and find the center here. Now what I like to do, if you look in here, this is the inside of the mask. Now there's a curve to this particular one that we have. It's a little curve. I like to put that on the outside where it's going to be on your outside of your nose. So this is going to be stuck down in here and on the thread line of those two seams. And so then you're going to take and put this piece of metal in the center here. And then because there's adhesive, you want to get it stuck in the right spot. And it will bend, as you can see, but I'm going to get it down in here as best as I can. And then the reason why you fix these edges, see, it goes right to the end. That's why your measurement, it's real important to have the accurate measurement on that ruler. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to sew this metal piece right into this mask. So what you're going to do is you're going to start over here on this end. And you want to make sure you don't catch your metal piece in there, so it's a little wider. It's probably about a 1/4 of an inch. And then you're going to go ahead and go forward, backward, always forward, backward stitch. Lock it in place, and then come forward. And as you're coming forward, you want to make sure that's flattened out right there, no wrinkles. So that's going to go across the person's nose. Okay, then you're going to take this off. For all of you beginner sewers, when you get ready to turn the wheel on your sewing machine, always turn it toward you. Never turn it the other direction, because if you do that, then it's going to make your bobbin mess up. And that's really frustrating when you're trying to sew something and you've got technical problems with your machine. Okay, so here we go. Now you have your nose piece in there, right? So the last step of doing it is to go ahead and do the top stitching. So what you're going to do here is you're going to open up this inside seam, and you want to flatten it out and make it nice and flat. And it's really good using this cotton blend material because it's easy to manipulate. Satin and some of the other ones aren't so, they're slippery. This here is not slippery whatsoever, so it's pretty nice to handle. Okay, so you're going to open this up and bend this over too. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to match these two seams on this side and on this side, right here at this junction, intersection. So what I like to do is get it nice and flat, and then you're going to take your pin, straight pin, stick it down here like this, and then you want to pull this out too, because that's your inside seam that you want to make sure you catch that when you're doing your top stitching. So then you're going to go ahead over here, straighten out this part, stick your straight pin in there. Now what I like to do is I like to start here and go clear around. So and this is going to be just a real tight top stitch. So I'm going to be, I don't know, maybe an 1/8 of that. I don't think it's even that, 1/16 maybe. And so then you're going to put your needle down into your material. And you're going to go forward, backward again. I hit the metal. Oop, went too far. Maybe it's okay. I just worry about breaking my needle. I didn't. So you want to bring it right up to the edge. You lift your zipper foot, and then you go forward again. And that's how you just make this turn. Go as close to the edge as you can. Pick up your foot, drop it, and keep right on sewing. Some people get afraid of their sewing machine. It's sort of like driving a car. As you're learning to drive a car, you're kind of scared. And you feel like you're a foreign object in the vehicle, which you are. But as you become accustomed to driving, you become a part of the car. And that's kind of what you do when you're with your sewing machine. You become a part of it, and you learn the wherewithals of it. And then you become very familiar with it, and you're the one who's in control, not the sewing machine. Just like when you're driving a car, you're the one who's in control. And so don't be afraid to manipulate your material whichever way you want to, because you're the one who's in control. I've never known anyone to sew their fingers. That's always, it seems to be a worry. Just like when people can, they're afraid the canner's going to blow up. Well, I've never had that happen. I've been canning since I was 8 years old. Okay, voila, here it is, all done. Now, if your elastic is too long, just like we tried on Angela, it's too long. So what you want to do is you want to shorten it down here on the chin level, not here up on the ear. Because you don't really want anything bulky on your ear. Like I was saying, if you wear glasses or sunglasses, you really don't want any more bulk on there than you need. And it's actually better down here because you want to pull it tighter to your chin than you do up here. So what you want to do is, since it's just a little bit too long, we'll just take a little bit of this and fold it over. And what I like to do, because of course this is just how Sheryl is I have to pin everything because I want to hold it in place. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to stick this straight pin in here. I fold it over a little bit here. Probably, I'm hoping it's just enough. It's just a guess. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side, the same length. Because what you want to do is have it the same. So when you're looking at this side and you're comparing it over here, it looks about the same to me. Because I've been doing this for a while, so I know the measurement's pretty simple. It's because I'm so familiar. So then now what I'll do is I'll show you as I get needle and thread how to fix this.
I love the mask. It's a little bit too long though, so it makes it a little baggy.
Right. And I will show you guys how to fix that if, say, it's too long. Okay. So you want to go ahead and take it off and I'll show you.
Sure.
So to shorten the elastic, what you want to do is just take a needle and thread, and this is the hand stitching part. You always have to do something hand stitching sometimes in sewing, but you just go ahead and you just tack this down so that it holds it in place. And I always like to hide my knots, but what you're going to do is you're just going to go ahead and have this little piece folded over. And then what you're going to do is just go along the edge here like this and stitch it down. Now I just use the purple, the same color that I used on the, you could use black at this point if you wanted. It looks like I got a knot now. No, I didn't. You could just go ahead and use black if you wanted, but I just went ahead and used this purple color we were already using. And then you just go ahead and stitch it down. And then after that, hopefully it will fit her just perfect. Thank you for watching.
Here's the final result. It fits perfectly. I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome.